Yo, what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again tonight with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. You know the drill, 2 playoff games. Let's go ahead and get into them. Before we get into it, though, please, real quick, leave a like and subscribe if you do enjoy the video. Trying to hit 10K before the end of the playoffs. And as always, comment down below and let me know what your takeaways were from the games. We're going to start off with Suns versus Mavericks. This one was a blowout for like 3.5 quarters. The Mavericks really started to bring it back towards the end, applying a little bit more full court pressure, forcing the Suns into some more awkward offensive sets, forcing them out of their rhythm, and the Suns really just kind of started to miss shots that they were making usually, partially because they probably were tired from continuously having to break full court pressure. But all in all, it was just too little too late. Maybe if they're able to sustain not necessarily full court pressure because they would get gassed, but more extended pressure for more of the game, maybe that could be a strategy that could work going forward. It just wasn't enough in this one. The Suns were the better team. Deandre Ayton had 25 and 8. He was really good. Like I said in my video talking about making my predictions for these series, I mentioned how Ayton is probably going to be a problem for the Mavericks. He's a guy that is a lot more agile than Rudy Gobert is. And so while Gobert sometimes would struggle against those smaller guys, not really able to get his own shot as much as Ayton is, Ayton will go up, get his own shot if he feels that mismatch, and also the Suns are just better at feeding him the ball when he does have those mismatches. So overall, it was a pretty easy game for him. Attacking the glass, doing usual Deandre Ayton stuff, deterring guys from scoring. Devin Booker had 23, 9, and 8 in what was a pretty good game for him. He looked a lot more aggressive and like Devin Booker than he did in his first game back from injury. Chris Paul had 19. You had 11 from Jay Crowder. You had 17 from Cam Johnson. Mikal Bridges, who continues to be the workhorse for this team, had 13 points in 42 minutes, along with 7 rebounds and 4 assists. According to the broadcast, this is now the 6th playoff game in a row where Mikal Bridges has played 40 or more minutes, which is super impressive. It just speaks to how much of an Iron Man he's been and how impressive it is continuously guarding the opposing team's best players and never getting into foul trouble, always being able to play the minutes that they need him to play. He just continues to be so critical to their success, so shout out to him. So that was kind of all I wanted to say about the Suns side of things. They just were overall the better team. And on the Mavericks side, the starters, Dwight Powell, 4 points. Dorian Finney-Smith, 15 points. 7 points from Reggie Bullock. You had 13 from Jalen Brunson. Luka Doncic had 45 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists in 44 minutes. On 50% shooting and 36% from 3, and they lost. Luka Doncic is one of only I believe it's 15 or so players to have this many 40-point games in a NBA playoffs career. Luka needs help, and this is something I mentioned in my video when I talked about the series. The Mavs don't have a second star. I said that, and someone was like, oh, what about Jalen Brunson? Because he played phenomenal in the Jazz series, and I really like Jalen Brunson's game. I think Jalen Brunson is a great fit in the backcourt. Next to Luka Doncic, he is another guy that can go and create for himself as well as others, which his leap in that department has been a big reason why the Mavericks have been so successful this season. But he's not a second star. He's not going to be your second option on a championship team, at least not yet. Maybe in a couple years he develops and gets better and they get more role players around those guys, but they need to get Luka Doncic a second star. They tried with Kristaps. He could not stay healthy. There was tension in that locker room, and it just really wasn't a good fit overall. They made the trade to bring in Spencer Dinwiddie, who's been pretty solid for them, albeit tonight he wasn't very good, only 8 points in 30 minutes. Davis Bertans, who's the other member of that trade, also not very good. Quick shout to Maxi Kleber, 19 points in 25 minutes. He continues to be pretty solid over the course of this run, but they just desperately need to get Luka someone to help him out offensively. You can't have your guy put up 45, 12, and 8 in 44 minutes and lose like this. It really wasn't close until the last few minutes. For most of this game, it was a blowout. And the only reason it became close is because Luka continued to do absolutely everything for this team down the stretch of the game, putting the ball in the basket, creating for others, doing whatever the team needed him to do, and it still wasn't enough. It speaks to kind of how the Suns are by far the better team overall, but Luka's by far the best player in this series. If Luka had a little bit more help, this would be one that I really think the Mavericks could take. But part of the thing I said in my predictions video is that I just don't think the Mavs have enough to keep up with the Suns. The Suns are such a well-oiled machine. From stars to role players, everyone plays their role perfectly. For the Mavericks, a lot of times it's just Luka. You're not going to beat a team like the Phoenix Suns with a one-man show. and he's trying to get guys involved. He had 8 assists. He was creating for others. And there were some people I saw on Twitter saying stuff like, oh, Luka can't just win by iso balling. He can't do all the scoring. He has to elevate his teammates. He's trying. I can promise you that if you watch the game. There's just not much they can, like, he didn't, it's not like he took like 50 shots. He did take 30 shots, but it's because he hit 15 of them. He shot 50%. It's not like he was out there chucking 46 shots and hitting like 18 of them or something crazy like that. He was actually going out, hitting his shots, finding his spots, and making things happen. When no one else could hit anything, Luka said, all right, I'll take over, because that's kind of what he's had to do over the course of most of his playoff career. Kristaps has been hurt on and off, and now that he's gone, unless Jalen Brunson steps up in a big way, which the Suns are a much worse matchup for Jalen Brunson than the Jazz were. The Suns have way more perimeter defense, so Brunson can't really get starting to drive downhill, pull it for those mid-ranges that he likes, finish at the rim. He's not really able to get to those spots nearly as easily as he was able to in the Jazz series. So that was one issue I had with this matchup coming into things. So that he's kind of immediately neutralized, not fully, but he's taking out of the equation a lot. So Luka is kind of left to do everything for himself, and he did a great job of producing. He helped bring this game pretty close. It just wasn't enough because they didn't have enough on the court tonight. And I think that ultimately is going to continue to be the story of this series. Luka's going to get his. He is. There's really no way to stop Luka. They played good defense on him tonight for pretty much most of his shots. He was just able to make things happen because that's what Luka does. One of the most talented offensive players we've seen in the league in a long time. One of the most talented, 23-year-olds? Or is he like 23? And he's already this good, which is incredible. One of the most offensively gifted 23-year-olds the sport has ever seen. But because he doesn't have a secondary star, and he doesn't have someone that can consistently be that second star, this team's not going to win. They're not going to win this series. And that really, if he had a second option who was able to knock down just a few shots in this game, they might have taken this one. And stealing one of them in Phoenix, which they could still do in game 2. But once again, I think it's going to take an incredible performance from Luka, as well as pretty solid performances. They're going to need like a 25 piece from Brunson or something like that to beat this Suns team. They're not going to be able to stop them that much defensively because they have more of an interior presence, which the Mavs really can't match. It's just going to be hard. And I think that was part of the reason why I picked the Suns in 6. I do think Luka is good enough to get them a couple games. And if the shooters are on, the Mavs are a pretty tough team to beat. But the Suns, more often than not, are just going to outplay the Mavericks. They're a much more well-rounded team. I've said this a million times. They're a well-oiled machine is the best way to feel like you can describe them. The Suns just taking this one because they were better. Get Luka some help, please. The second and final game we had was Sixers versus Heat, and I wasn't expecting too much from this one with Joel Embiid being out, but through the first half, the Sixers did a pretty good job of keeping up. They were actually winning 52-51 at halftime. And then in the second half, they kind of just fell apart. The Heat just were better. They really started to lock up defensively. But one of my big issues with the first half to the second half of this game was Doc Rivers' coaching. And Doc Rivers, I felt like for the first half, did a pretty good job outside of playing DeAndre Jordan, which I still don't get. Maybe you have to play him a few minutes here and there. But overall, what worked in the first half was Paul Reed and the minutes where they didn't have a center. They played Paul Millsap a little bit. It didn't work very well, but a lot of what they did was put Tobias Harris out there at center, or like Georges Niang, the two of them kind of interchangeable, and that was working really well because Bam Adebayo isn't really a big like bruising center. He's kind of more of an agile guy. He does take advantage of mismatches and all that, but he's not going to take advantage of like crazy mismatches if you put like Tobias Harris on him. He's not as aggressive for going for his shots. So it was working, and they switched that small ball thing. They were running kind of a zone at the end of the second quarter, and it was working pretty well. And then they just like went away from that. They started DeAndre Jordan again in the second half, and pretty quickly the Heat went on a run. Every minute that DeAndre Jordan was in, it was very clear that he should not be out there. He couldn't keep up. He's not as athletic or quick as Paul Reed, who did get into foul trouble. So maybe if he doesn't get into foul trouble, DeAndre Jordan plays more minutes. But it does not make sense to me. DeAndre Jordan is not very good. Even Charles Bassey, who is a rookie, had some pretty good minutes at the end of this game. He only played in garbage time, of course. But in 5 minutes, he had 2 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist. He was pretty solid. And he gives them someone who's more agile. There was one play in this one where Tyrese Maxey had a great pick and roll with DeAndre Jordan and hit him on the roll, and DeAndre Jordan just wasn't looking for the ball. He's just not good anymore. He's bad. And so I don't understand why Doc Rivers feels the need to continue to play him, to start him even. I don't get that. They put Paul Reed in pretty quickly in this one, so I don't understand why he started. He only played 17 minutes, and I believe he was like a minus 16 or something like that. Like every minute he was out there was just giving the Heat a lead more and more. Because he can't keep up with Bam Adebayo, he can't keep up with switches. At least with Paul Reed, he's athletic, he's a lot more agile, and he has the length to maybe contest some of those shots and make things a little more difficult on switches. Even with like a Paul Millsap, or if you put Tobias Harris at center, which was working for a good bit in this one. In the second quarter, that small ball lineup that they went to, it was really effective. The floor was spaced. It gave Harden and Maxey driving lanes. It was getting some pretty decent looks for threes. Tobias Harris, by the way, was great tonight with 27 and 6. Really efficient as well, being aggressive, which is what they're going to need in this next game or so without Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey had 19. He was decent. George Niang was terrible. He had 0 points, but he played better minutes than DeAndre Jordan did. Overall, it was very clear how much they missed Joel Embiid, not just because of his offensive and defensive production, but because everyone's shots get easier. Everyone's lives are so much easier because of all of the attention that goes to Joel Embiid. And in addition to the weird coaching shift in the second half, I also felt like they just kind of got fatigued. They had to take a lot of really tough contested shots in that first half, and for a lot of the part they were hitting them, but then in the second half it felt like the Heat's physicality kind of just got to them. They were getting out hustled for rebounds. The Heat had so many second chance opportunities. There was one possession where they had like 4 or 5 and it ended up with free throws for them, which has to be demoralizing and completely exhausting for the Sixers looking to close out the defensive possession. Embiid clears all those problems up, creates opportunities for others, and that was part of why I said that it was going to be really hard for the Sixers to take any games, not just because you're missing Joel Embiid, but because you're missing the way that he elevates everyone else's games and orchestrates the offense so perfectly in this system. So one more thing I want to say about the Sixers before I talk a little bit about the Heat is after the game, Doc Rivers was asked about DeAndre Jordan, why he started and stuff like that, and he said, DeAndre is going to continue to start whether you like it or not. And to me, that's a bad quote, because that makes it sound like he's starting DeAndre Jordan to like prove a point or something like that, that he knows better. He is better than NBA Twitter as a coach. And I can guarantee you Doc Rivers is a better coach than me. I could not coach an NBA team, but I think everyone could kind of see out there that whatever DeAndre Jordan is doing is not working. It doesn't make sense why he's out there as much. 17 minutes for him is way too many. They were so much better off playing like Tobias Harris more at center, Paul Reed, hell, probably even Paul Millsap. So I don't get it. Doc Rivers, he kind of just needs to get out of his own way. It makes sense to play these guys. There's no reason to play DeAndre Jordan other than like, oh, I know better, or I'm going to stick it to them, which kind of seemed like his interview. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. On the Heat side of the ball, Tyler Hero was great. He had 25 and 7 assists in just 29 minutes off the bench. They should have given him the 6th Man of the Year award already. Should have done it right after this game, to be honest. 24 and 12 from Bam Adebayo, who was really solid. 15 from Jimmy Butler, 10 from Gabe Vincent. And then holding the Sixers to 92 points. A really good defensive effort from them in this one, especially in the second half, holding them to just 40 points in that half. So those are my thoughts on the game today, or both games today. Let me know what your takeaways were in the comment section below. What do you think about like who could maybe the Mavericks get for Luca as a second star? In terms of the Sixers and Heat, do you think that the Sixers can maybe take the next game? Are they going to continue to lose until Embiid comes back, which he's rumored to be coming back for game 3, hopefully. So maybe he's able to come back, and even if the Sixers are down 0-2, I think Embiid could definitely turn this thing around. So I'm curious. Let me know what your thoughts are about Doc Rivers, the DeAndre Jordan situation, all of that in the comment section below. But for right now, I will see you all later. Appreciate y'all watching. Real one, say it back.